I guess turning it off and on, what, 5 times did the trick?
Brute force. Okay. So.
And my Steam crashes a lot when I try to view these live events, but hopefully I can. Nope, my Steam crashed.
What deck do you think we should play? Do you think we should go with the Classic Kingdom?
Yeah, we could do maybe another Kingdom and a Shogunate. That's what's available in the demo, right?
Yep. Alright, let's play a Shogunate run. You can see now we have optional challenges. So, you know, we're more of advanced players, so I think this is going to be good to, you know, keep it much more interesting. We're going to get some extra rewards if we can beat some of these optional challenges. So, if you haven't seen this game before, it's similar to chess, except you draw cards from a deck that you can spend power, which is a resource that you get every turn. You get 1 power, and you can spend it to play cards on the board. So on my first turn, I'm just going to play a bishop by dragging the card there. And I can only play cards near my king. And then after playing a card, I have to move, and then that's going to end my turn. And my opponent is going to do the same thing. They can play a card, they also play a bishop, and then they move. And when I put a card down, I'm going to put down a pawn during my purchase phase. It can't move this turn, so it takes 1 turn to prepare. And then, so I can move either my king or my bishop. Let's move the bishop. So I have an optional challenge here. I want to see if I could beat this round capturing 6 or fewer non-ruler units. So let's see if I could win this by capturing the enemy ruler, their king, without capturing too many pieces. So I can play a card, or I can skip my purchase phase to try to amass more power that I can use on a future turn. Every card can also only be used a certain number of times, as seen in the bottom right, and after that it's removed from my deck for the remainder of this round. But after this round, if I win, I'll get that card back later. So I'm going to skip. And then let's keep moving forward. So unlike chess, because in chess you want to keep your king very well defended in the back and away from your enemy's pieces, here, because I can only play pieces near my ruler, I want to play very aggressively. I want to put my ruler in the action and, you know, kind of take charge and be in the center of the board. So it'd be nice if I could play this queen, but I cost 4, and you can see here I only have 3 power. So I think I want to put down a rook. And I'm thinking I want to put it here, and then I'm going to move out of the way so that I can check the enemy. Okay, I kind of like my position now. Like, I can take this with the bishop or the rook. And I think I want to do it with the rook. Oh, my stuff is defended. So he's able to place down a pawn, and immediately I'm put in check. Now I have to react. This is a lot of what makes Usurper special, is because you can make you could do multiple things on the same turn. You can have a lot of these like back and forth exciting swing turns. See, he put down a knight now, so now I'm under attack. He's defending this. Either I have to move my ruler, or I have to take this knight, because I don't think I have that many other options. Put down another rook. I think I'm gonna take this.
The board's very congested in the center right now.
Yeah. So I only have 1 power. I could play a pawn, and it would check him, which is nice. After saying that, maybe I will do that. And then I don't know if I want to take this, because I do want to complete this challenge. Yeah, let's move our rook. We can see if we could make him back up. Yes, now I want to take this. I think I want to start saving up for an expensive piece like a queen. Getting only 1 power per turn, we're really going to need something like this to finish off the game quickly, I think. Just want to make sure. Yeah, we are recording on OBS. This is interesting. I could... If I move the rook here and capture this, it puts him in check with the bishop, which I like. So next turn I'm going to draw this queen, because this is my draw pile. And if I skip, I'm going to have enough power to play it, which I like. So let's do this. And I can see how many... You know, my opponent has 1 power. On their turn, they'll have 2. And then I could see, okay, they have 1 bishop, but the rest of their deck is just pawns. So I like my position a lot.
Yeah, the rook's in a tricky spot here.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where to put it. I actually, it's
Maybe
hard
the
to
back
defend
rank?
it. I could just, actually, if I move up this pawn, it defends the rook, which I like. I don't actually have to move it. And I think if I move my queen here, the pawn defending it, then that's gonna win the game. It's my hope, at least. Okay, yeah. And unlike, you know, this would be an illegal move in chess. But because here the goal is to capture the enemy ruler, it's not to checkmate. So I actually have to finish him off. So that was round 1, and I beat that optional challenge, so now a random one of my units gets promoted. Now every card in the game has a unique promotion. So let's see what the queen does. So the queen gets these extra spaces that it can jump to. So kind of like a knight. You know, these are kind of blind spots for the queen, but now it should be even stronger. And after beating around, I also get to add a card to my deck, or I get to remove a card that's already in my deck. So I think I want to add a card to my deck. You could see I could add a knight. I could add this unit that's called a lance. This is a card that's part of the Empire faction. So you could see this forward, it can move, you know, diagonally. It has these arrows, kind of like a queen. Can retreat a little bit, but it's pretty forward facing. So this is an aggressive piece that if I have it get too far, it's going to be really tricky to pull it back. And it costs 3, so even though it's maybe not as strong as a queen, it'll be easier to play. And the silver costs 2, and this is a shogunate unit. And you can see it can move diagonally 1 space, or it has that forward space right in front of it. So this is a pretty aggressive unit that if I'm up close and personal, you know, I could place this on the board to check the enemy, and then they're gonna have to back up because, you know, you can't block this or anything. I like that I have the queen. I think I want something similar, so I think I'm gonna take the lance so that I can get some attacks in from far away. So in the demo, it only goes to round 6, but in the full game, it's going to go all the way to round 10 when you fight a final boss. So you could see now I have to fight a tougher opponent every second out of 3 rounds. You fight a regent, And they're, you know, it's just a normal king, but he's got some special units. So a plebeian is basically like a much stronger pawn. So he's going to be able to play with that, play a few of those. So my optional challenge is to avoid these center tiles. So this is a pretty tricky one. You know, if I place or move any pieces on these, then I'm going to fail the challenge. And, you know, this is a roguelike deck builder, so these challenges are pretty important to be able to build a strong enough deck to go all the way. So let's see if I could do it.
I'm pretty excited to see the promoted queen. I hope you save up for it this game.
Yeah, playing that lance might make it tricky. You can see, I'll have to wait for it to go around a few times. I like to look for checks a lot of the time, so I can't play a piece, I have to skip. Let's just try to get this lance in a more advantageous position. See, this is the plebeian that I was talking about before. A pawn can only move forward and it can capture diagonally, but the plebeian can move and capture on any of these 3 forward spaces. So I can't, you know, if I move my king here, I'm going to get captured and lose. So he's already taking a lot of my space away. I could try to save up for this queen. It's starting to get to be a little risky. I might put down a pawn to try to whittle away. So he placed a unit. You'll see this a lot in Usurper. He put down a unit that defends where this unit was going. You know, so the knight here defends the pawn or the plebeian, like where it wants to go. So now I can't capture this. I'll lose the game. So it's pretty tricky. And a lot of the game is, you know, okay, where can he move a piece where, you know, it's gonna attack me? What pieces could he place down? Like I could see he doesn't have any more knights in his deck, so knowing that is pretty useful. So I can put this queen down now. Let's see, where could I put it where I really like my options? I don't want to put this here because this knight could take it. So let's put it here and just kind of have it stocked up. So he left this plebeian hanging. Now, if I drew a pawn, I'd be in a pretty good spot. Because I want to be able to put a pawn here, and then this could jump all the way over. But, you know, I could just move this one space. I wish I could afford any of these, but I can't. Okay, I was a little worried about that, but I think this gives me a chance. So I'm glad that I drew this pawn now. And then I think this is going to be a pretty strong move. Okay.
Yeah, that box that the promoted queen makes is really good for checkmating.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the fun things about promoting pieces like that, is that you make your deck a lot stronger and you get to do some things that you normally couldn't do. So I'm glad we beat that challenge, because now the knight that costed 2 before now only costs 1. So after beating a regent, which was that special fight, we have an one of 3 options, and this is before we get to draft a card. So we can take a new unit that we can't normally draft. This is a special unit that the regents can have. So a cavalier is a rook combined with a knight. And the basic rook costs 3, and so does the cavalier. So this is like a strictly better rook. It can only be used once, though. We could make our queen go down in cost. So, you know, we saw before it was pretty strong. It won the game. So being able to play this easier would be pretty good. And then, or we could take another unit in our deck that right now is only, it's decent. It's just a normal bishop. And we could give this a unique promotion too. So this promoted bishop is now going to be able to move an extra space up, down, left, or right. So, normally the bishop, if it's on a black tile, it can only move to the same color tile. But if we promote it, now all of a sudden it can more easily, check the opponent or get out of a sticky situation. This was kind of the superstar last game, so I think I want to make this even better.
Yeah, I really like when the upgrade and the promotion happens on the same card.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can add another bishop, another knight, or we could add a copper, that's like the shogunate version of the pawn. So this piece can move forward and it can capture on that same square, unlike the pawn, which cannot capture forward. So this is a pretty aggressive unit, it can keep just marching down, which might actually have some synergy. We have a lance, we have a queen, we have a rook. We back up with copper, it can kind of just keep, beelining it straight to the enemy. Or we could try to, we could remove a piece that we maybe don't want to play as much to try to make our queen even better, or like make it more consistent to draw it. And I think I might want to do that. I'm thinking about, would it be crazy to take away like a rook or something?
Yeah, it seems sensible.
Yeah, because I think we have some, pretty strong units, and I think I want to more consistently draw them. And I liked how we could defend the queen with the pawn last game. So now every third fight, you go up against a unique boss encounter. And if we beat this boss, then we're going to get a unique upgrade for our ruler. But let's look at the Baron. So he is blue and orange. That means that his cards are going to be from the Kingdom faction and from the Shogunate faction. So the Baron's effect is he's just a normal king in terms of his movement, but every turn he's going to mark tiles that we cannot place units on. So that's going to take away a lot of our options. So, pretty strong. We get to play our queen turn 1 before he even gets to go. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we can't place a unit on these tiles. So I think I'm happy skipping and then just trying to get this queen in the action more. Or maybe even moving my king up. Let's check the king. Check the enemy Baron. You can see this effect is going to start adding up. I wish I could put a knight here, but I can't. I think I'm happy to put it here, though. And then, because we have a promoted queen, we could do a little jump here. I think I just want to get more and more pieces on the board. Let's see, I have another knight coming up. Let's get a bishop out. And then let's keep these checks coming. So I can only not place here, but I can I'd be happy to skip or even put down a knight here. And then this bishop could come out and I'd be pretty happy to get it there. I think I like just playing another knight. Because it costs 1 and we get 1 every turn, it's, it's not free, but it's almost free. Okay. So I think I want to skip again, we have a lance that costs 3 and that's like our next powerhouse unit. So by the time we draw that, maybe next time we draw it, we could get to 3 power. So this bishop and this queen are working really well together. I think this is going to take away a lot of options. So, let's see. I could put the queen here, but
I think that would be it.
It could be it, unless he puts a unit here that cuts off the queen and the bishop.
Oh.
This is something that you have to worry about in Usurper, is that sometimes it looks like a good move, but you have to remember he gets to place a piece down, and I could see he's got a copper, he's got a pawn, so I think we want to avoid giving him an opportunity to come back in the game. A lot of the strongest plays are moves that cannot be blocked. So like this knight, he can't block this knight. You know, it can jump over pieces just like in chess. So now this queen, if I jump to here, because it's a promoted queen, I don't think he's going to be able to get out of that. And just in case, let's put this lance here. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that went.
Yeah, that was a very nice game.
So you can see the Overlord is watching. Future opponents are now more difficult. So after beating a boss, this is always going to happen where future enemies are going to have more cards in the deck. They're going to start with more power. Sometimes they'll get more power each turn. So they'll be able to start, you know, building up an army much faster, and I'm going to have to play a lot smarter. So after beating a boss, I get to take a unique upgrade for my ruler. So in the demo, there are two different types of upgrades, movement and placement. So either I get to move a little further with my ruler, as long as it doesn't capture, or I could gain some placement tiles. And what that means is that instead of just having to place units right next to my ruler, I could place them a little further, allowing me to be a little bit more aggressive. So what do you think, Andrew?
Sorry, dropped my microphone for a second there. I like movement vertical, I think.
Okay. This allows us to move forward more quickly. And, you know, it goes backward too. So if we get attacked by a piece that we don't see it coming or something, we could always retreat a little faster too. So I like that that's flexible. You can see, we saw the silver before. The diamond, similar to the silver, it costs one more though, and instead of just moving one tile in each of those directions, now it has an arrow. I think I like that a lot. It's kind of similar to a lance, but, you know, it can retreat a lot faster as well, even though it doesn't have those left and right tiles. So I think I want to take the diamond. I think it's got good synergy with what we're doing. You can see I can start fighting rulers of different factions as well. You know, the Shogun, they're not going to have units like the bishop or the pawn, but they're going to have units like the diamond. And the Shogunate, unlike Kingdom, which is, you know, this is traditional chess, Shogunate units are inspired by Shogi with some new units like the diamond. But these are a lot more aggressive. You know, you want to get your ruler really up close and personal because a lot of these Shogunate units are short range. You know, so they don't have that many units like the rook or the queen. Instead, you know, and they don't have anything like a knight that can jump over pieces. So I'm going to use that upgraded movement. I'm going to try to get as close to the center as possible. And then I was hoping for this, we get to play this queen down. And, you know, it's going to be pretty strong. So this unit is a gold. I can right-click it to see how it moves. So the 3 forward spaces left and right, as well as back 1. So it has some blind spots behind it. But it's going to be pretty defensive. It's going to be kind of hard for my pieces to get in without, I don't want to trade my queen for his gold. I'm going to stay a little bit further back. Yeah, because he's going to play these close units, and he's going to try to, create some sort of fortress around himself. The silver controls these spaces. If I could get a unit, like if I could get my queen here, I'd be pretty happy. Trying to think. This bishop, the name is red because I have this challenge: do not play any units that cost 2 power. So if I can get away with it, I want to see if I could beat this without playing this bishop. Luckily, I upgraded my knight, so that doesn't cost 2 anymore either, so I could still play that and beat the challenge. So I could play a pawn here, or I could skip.
Is the bishop the only 2 cost in your deck right now?
It is, so this is a pretty good challenge for me. So I think I want to... Let's just check him again. I was worried about him blocking, so I'm okay with that. Let's see. A lance is pretty good. So is a knight. Let's see. Now, one of the strong things about the promoted queen is if I can get this in a spot where, it covers these escape squares, then, usually if I place this like to the left or right of him, I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about it.
I think I see a checkmate here.
What are you eyeing?
So his power is 0, so they can't block anything. So if you play a lance on d4 and then move the queen to g7, I think that's checkmate. Oh, I'm sorry. He could still move to f5.
F5.
Okay, what about lance on d3 and then queen on g6?
That looks pretty compelling. Let's see if he could get out of this. Okay, so he can. Because he gained 1 power.
Oh! He gained a power, I'm sorry.
But I can play a knight, and we can still kind of keep this aggression going. So let's see, can my knight... I think I like moving the knight here and trying to get like another follow-up attack. I think this is going to be checkmate now, because the lance is not going to cover this, but the knight will. Let's just place this here. Okay, good save after we lost the queen.
Yeah.
So now we get a random special unit. So a plebeian, that seems pretty nice. We saw this before. It costs 0. So just by playing it, I'm basically gaining power. Because I gained 1 at the start of my turn, and I didn't spend any. So I get to develop on the board. Play a stronger pawn. So that seems pretty good to me. I'm happy to have that. This dealer's gambit... pretty interesting. So the gambits on rounds 4 and 7, so I just beat round 4. You have to choose one of 2 gambits. So these are both positive and negative effects that affect random cards and random cards into your deck. So you don't get to choose exactly how they impact you, but there's some element of risk and reward. So a dealer's gambit, this is going to make one of my cards cost 0, and it could target a card that already costs 0. So if it hits a plebeian, if it hits a low cost card like a knight or a pawn, I think this is going to be much worse, especially when this hits something with more reserves, like a pawn. It's going to start costing quite a bit. The beggar's gambit is interesting though. you know, I can sort of pollute my deck with a lot of, you know, I don't really want like pawns and things like that and coppers. But at the same time, when they cost 0, they're much easier to play. Excuse me. So I think I like a Beggar's Gambit here. See, I have this challenge, don't play any units that cost 1 power. So, I'm not going to be able to play the knight, the pawn, or this other pawn. So, but these new units that get added to my deck, like the copper, a peasant, and another copper, I am going to be able to play these. So, this peasant, we haven't seen this yet. This is a unit that it's similar to a pawn in some ways, but it can't move forward, and it moves 1 diagonal space forward, even if it doesn't capture. So, it's a little bit like a pawn, but it has some differences. Now, my deck is getting pretty big with 11 cards. I think I might want to cut one. Kind of looking at these normal pawns, thinking, okay, I just got all these cards that cost 0. I also don't want to draw them if I can't play them next round, so I think we should cut some.
Yeah, if you have 0 cost pawns, I don't think the 1 cost ones are needed as much.
Mm-hmm.
They'll usually draw something to play if you need a pawn type guy.
Yeah, exactly. So the Shogun Regent, similar to the Shogun we just fought last round, but it has some special units now. So we haven't seen these yet. A bronze is going to be, it's similar to a copper. The copper can move 1 space forward. The bronze can move 2 spaces forward. So, you know, it can start pushing from much further away, can back up pieces from further back, and this unit costs 0 as opposed to the copper that costs 1 usually. You know, my coppers, they cost 0 because of the Beggar's Gambit. The iron, kind of similar to a copper, kind of similar to a knight in some ways. These hollow tiles, you know, that 2 away, up and down, those are jump tiles. You can see on the knight what they look like. So the iron can jump over pieces, and it covers the, you know, spaces of a capital I. So it can be used pretty effectively to back up pieces or to get some surprise checkmates and cut off some escapes from an enemy. So you can see my enemy's deck is getting pretty big too. We're at round 5 of 6. And let's see if I could beat this without, you know, playing this knight. You don't lose much playing a 0 cost piece, you know. I can only play this 3 times, so maybe playing it back here isn't the best, but I feel like it can't hurt that much. And, you know, if I start retreating, maybe I'll be happy to have this later. Let's put down a peasant and just try to control some space around him. I think I want it here. And I don't think I want to get too close. I don't want him to place an iron or something where it attacks me. Okay, so now we can see this plebeian is looking pretty good now, because this is going to defend all 3 of these squares. And then I could check him with the peasant that I just put down.
And you've racked up 6 power pretty quickly.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to playing is that queen. Here it is. Now, all of a sudden, yeah, my power is pretty high. For most of the game, I'm probably not going to have to worry about it. Okay, there's this iron that now is going to be an issue, because it attacks me. I can't block it in any way. And all I can do is really hope that, you know, I have a good space to move in. Now, I could move here. This seems a little risky to me. Now I know that he spent all his power on that, so, you know, the best thing that he could place is a copper or a bronze next turn. So I'm not too worried about him placing, like, another iron. In fact, that was the only iron in his deck. So I think I want to... Let's try and pin this. And then let's move over here. See, he doesn't want me to pin this. But let's see if I could take advantage of this in some way. A pawn would be really nice here, because he can't move it. Because this lance attacks in a straight line. But unfortunately, I don't think I can capitalize on that. You know, I don't want to play this without throwing away this challenge. I could play a copper. It doesn't seem the most useful here. Remember, it doesn't attack like a pawn. So it's not going to affect either of these pieces.
It is free, though.
It is free, but I'm not sure that I want to clog up anything. I want to save up some of these spaces for more powerful piece. The question I want to start asking is, where do I want this queen to be? And I think maybe I want it to be maybe here, if I can get rid of this iron. So maybe I'll play it here. Or actually, I think if I capture here, he can take with the iron, but that's it. And that's the last piece. So I think I like that quite a bit, actually. And then we can place something too of our own. Like, we could take this back. We could put down a diamond, maybe? Start getting that in the action. I don't want to block my queen from capturing this. Remember, like, you know, you could block enemy attacks, or you could end up blocking your own if you're not careful. But I think I like this, and then, you know, we'll back up, you know, this plebeian moving forward. Okay, so this bronze, remember, this attacks the queen. This is kind of a nice place to have this peasant, though. And I think I want another in the action, too. So the ruby is a new piece that we haven't seen yet. This is in some ways similar to a rook, in some ways similar to a gold. You know, similar to the silver, it attacks the 3 spaces in front of it. But it, you know, it has a forward arrow and also a left and right arrow. So I'm happy with where he placed this. You know, I want to place this. I want to move this peasant and check him. And then I also think I could defend this peasant if I place a bishop down. Okay, let's see if we could avoid him getting away now. Let's see. I think if I move my queen here, this is not attacked by anything. That looks like a checkmate. Remember, it's going to be tough for him to block. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. Pretty quick round 5 victory.
I think you've won every challenge, so you should have a pretty strong deck heading into round 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and that's really nice. You know, when a card that costs less gets promoted, all of a sudden, you know, it becomes that much better. So you have some interesting choices here. We could take our own bronze. We saw, you know, it definitely has more mobility. It's another card in our deck if we want more cards. Could reduce the cost of this pawn, and then we'll have no pawns that cost 1 or anything. Or we could upgrade this copper to give it the ability to move backwards. Now that's kind of interesting too. And this already costs 0, so, you know, promoting it might be nice. Now I wouldn't feel so bad, you know, playing them willy-nilly, and then, you know, if I have to move it back and forth, I can more easily. Let's see who I'm up against. So this boss is the Legion. Let's see if I have it in the index. Okay, so I haven't faced this boss yet. So I'm not sure exactly what the best way to prepare is. Let's take... I think this bronze is going to be nice. You know, the pawn, it already costed cheap, but we saw last game I had a lot of extra power. So maybe even taking another piece would not hurt. Or maybe we'll just get rid of this pawn, you know. This is not upgraded, it doesn't cost less. I think I'm happy to get rid of that. Okay, so let's see what this boss is. Legion can place 2 units each turn. So the Legion, instead of normally I can only place 1 unit down, this boss can place 2 units down. Now, luckily, its only pieces are 1 and 0 cost units. So it can place units down like the Plebeian and the Bronze that we have in our deck. But it can't place down any bishops or rooks or anything else that we're going to have to worry about. You can see there the lineup of all the pawns and similar cards. So, our strategy here, we're probably going to want to see if we could, if he surrounds himself with these cheap units, let's see if there's a way that we can, get him without him being able to block us in any way or, escape. So let's try and use something like this knight that is now promoted. So this knight, now that we promoted it, can jump to these diagonal spaces. So if the Legion surrounds himself, and this is going to be able to jump over those cheap units, and we're not going to have to worry about him trading down or anything. So I put this down here. I'm going to be able to move it next turn into a better position. But for now, I think I want to move this Bronze in a way where, he can't easily, defend against this attack that I have coming. He's moving the copper towards me. I think if I move the knight here, that'll be a very quick win.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like he has any way of getting out. His last-ditch effort, attacking me with a copper. Let's capture him and win fast and beat the demo. Alright, so ordinarily we would gain experience. In the main game, you can climb as high as level 15 or so. But in the demo, you can only climb to level 4, where you unlock challenges and additional bosses. By playing and leveling up, you get to play with different decks. As you start, you only have the Kingdom, and then you unlock different pieces that you could draft as well. See, we saw the vertical movement upgrade. In the full game, there's going to be many more upgrades to unlock that use the mechanics of the other factions as well. You can see there are many different bosses. So that was good. That was very, it was fun. It was clean.